Hi everyone, I'm live here in Fountain, Colorado with Jesse Anderson. I'm here at this amazing 3-day bootcamp clinic. If anyone has listened to the J.D. Casperson podcast that I published on Friday, you will have heard me raving about how excited I am to be here at this clinic with Jesse, Matt, Jobe and Dee Chapman. So Jesse, tell us a bit about this clinic. How did it all come about?
Yeah, so man, it was almost 3 years ago. Matt had reached out and was like, hey, let's do a clinic together. And I'm like, well, what if we just did a 3-day clinic and did something really big and really unheard of at the time? Because at the time, especially for mounted shooting, there wasn't anything that was, longer than a day. Mm-hmm. So just the thought of, yeah, let's bring people for 3 days. Let's get people tired. Let's get horses tired. And let's see what we can accomplish over those 3 days. And it just snowballed from there into this really cool boot camp idea, because that's truly what it is.
It feels like it. I can tell you.
Yeah,
it feels like
everybody that's here right now, man, their horses are tired. There wasn't a single horse that wasn't falling asleep at the end of today, mm-hmm. and even a single person that wasn't moving a little slower than they were yesterday.
Right.
But man, the idea really just came from, how do we help people? And that idea of helping people, you can give people pointers over just one day, mm-hmm. but to really put that into practice, it's hard to put something into practice you hear one time, but then we give people this idea like, hey, let's put this one thing into practice 3 days in a row, and you start to see a change in the person, how they ride, and how their horses react.
Oh, yes.
And it's been huge.
Yeah, I'm seeing huge changes myself. I came into this knowing that we had some holes, but I wasn't really sure what the holes were. Yeah. And yesterday I started to uncover those holes, which is a good start in figuring out how to fix the holes. And today, we didn't start off great today, I'm going to admit. This morning I think was probably our weakest time of the 2 days so far. But this afternoon we really picked it up, and I think I'm really starting to understand him, I'm starting to connect with him more, and I can tell you, I've done single-day clinics, and single-day clinics are great, they're great to start out with shooting especially, but the 3-day format is a game changer for me. I'm so excited about leaving this clinic and what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah, and really, even 3 days isn't enough to change a horse drastically or change a person drastically. Mm-hmm. But Matt, Dee, and I's concept with any clinic, not just this one, is to give a person the tools that they can take to succeed later on, whether it be the horse that they're riding here or a horse they have at home.
Yeah.
So that's just what's been so incredible. And, last year we had a good group of people here, but this year we have a great group of people. And we continue to do this for years to come. And I'm just excited that we get to help people and help their horses.
I'm definitely coming next year. And I really appreciated what you said there about how it's not just about the horse that we're working on right now, but it's also the horses that we're going to be working with in the future. And I think Matt said this yesterday, but he did say that, watch what other people are doing, watch what's happening to other people and their horses, because this might be you with a different horse in a couple of years or next year.
We got an audience in the background. If you guys are wondering what we're smiling at, and yeah, Megan's actually watching it right now from the other side of this window. But yeah, truly, we've seen people overcome so much of their struggles that they've had coming into this clinic, and it's even hard to just explain what that will help a person get over and the confidence that it gives them as they leave tomorrow. And it's just truly amazing. And Matt, Dee, and I can speak for all of us because they're sitting right over there, that we're just so grateful that we get to be a part of it. And we have to thank especially the Diamond J Equestrian Center for the ability to do this clinic here. And just, we've seen so many upgrades and improvements that they're going to get this place back on track and make it something really cool.
Yeah, it's a great facility. What is it that is unique about each of you, Dee and Matt? What do you each individually bring? And collectively, you're creating this incredible thing, but individually, what are you bringing?
And that kind of goes into your first question that you got wrote down, is that how'd I get into shooting? It was between Troy Kerr, D. Chapman, and Matt Jobe. I mean, they're three of the most crucial influences I've had in mounted shooting. So much so that, I met D while I was riding a colt for Troy. And I told Matt this last night. D was getting horses shod by Troy, and I was sitting there riding a colt, and D comes over, and she's not just looking, she's like studying every move I make, and tells me, hey, I'm gonna bring you a horse. Well, what that led into was understanding a little bit more about mounted shooting from D and from Troy. And then I got invited to one of Matt's beginner clinics in Kiowa at the time. So what we learned through all that is that, we have similar ways of getting to the same outcome that we're looking to get to. So it was a no-brainer that the three of us could work together to accomplish this 3-day clinic idea. Now, a lot of people look at that like, well, how do you have 3 people involved? Aren't there too many personalities? And it's cool because what we've noticed the last 2 years is that each thing that we go over individually goes and piggybacks off of what somebody else already went over. Mm-hmm. And we all know that, there's 100 ways to skin a cat. And it's the same with riding a horse. There's 100 ways to get to that ending that you're looking for, or whatever that may be that you're trying to accomplish with your horse. And I can't tell you exactly how this works, but we're friends that really have become family over the last few years, and it works.
It does work, and something that I've really appreciated is how maybe Dee will be showing us something, and one of us will do a run, and then you'll step in after the run and you'll say, hey, I noticed this, can we chat about this? And having those 2 eyes and those 2 perspectives and those 2 sets of different experiences coming together builds so much more of a stronger, a program for us.
Yeah, it's just the same idea as growing up in school. You think about your math class. You had one math teacher that, she could tell you something, but maybe you didn't understand it. But then you had another math teacher that explained the same thing in a way that you could understand it, and it just clicked just like that. Mm-hmm. So that, and that goes along with what our goal was here, was to give people different opinions and different way of wording things, even though it's the same thing, but just the wording of a certain idea or a certain exercise that you can do with your horse has led to this grand scheme of a 3-day boot camp.
And it's not just for newer shooters. I mean, I'm a newer shooter. I still consider myself a newer shooter. I'm a level 2. I've been shooting.
Not after this weekend.
Right. But I'm seeing lots of different levels here.
Yeah, I mean, we have from level 1 to level 6 shooters. And, we have seasoned horses, we have new horses. I brought some younger horses with me as well. And something like this has just been awesome for those younger horses, from just being around the atmosphere of multiple horses in one area to also the gunfire, the multiple shots going off. You don't get that at home. Mm-hmm. And just to have consecutive days of doing that's just been incredible.
Yeah, I'm really feeling like while it's a clinic, my horse is getting the feel of a shoot as well, because we've got the people who are standing watching or waiting on their horses. So my horse is pretty herd bound, or showing himself to be pretty herd bound. And that would only come up in a situation like this, where we've got quite a few people on the sidelines waiting to take their turn. So
and we had probably 17 horses in a pretty small indoor arena, and we'd split that in half, and so there was a lot going on. So it was a very laid back way for a horse to get exposure to what a shoot it could be like. And man, it's just been so cool, because we've seen just so much progress in this short amount of time that we've had with these horses.
Yep, definitely. So I'm going to change directions a little bit and go to some of the questions that I usually ask people who come on the podcast. And I'm going to start with, obviously, you're doing a clinic, so you must love the sport. What is it that you love about the sport?
I love the horses in the sport. You have so much athleticism in these horses to be able to run different patterns all in one day. You have barrel racing and stuff, and which is very competitive and very athletic. Mm-hmm. But man, to have a horse that is so broke, or your horsemanship be so well-rounded that you can navigate through 3 to 4 different courses in a day is huge. So what I love is just the horsemanship that goes into a lot of it. And, there's always ways we can improve in that horsemanship. And that was just the importance of like this weekend, is to help people with that horsemanship and get their horses on the right track, to not just be a horse that they ride for a year, but to be a horse that is a horse that they can ride for years to come.
And a good citizen, right?
Yeah.
Not just a good shooter, but a good citizen.
Oh, yeah. And that's been the biggest thing we've heard this weekend here, is that, man, we're just making good horses. And really, it's just the shooting's a bonus almost. Right? Yeah, we worked a lot on horsemanship, and everybody was so happy yesterday that we didn't even shoot a shot off.
Yep.
But then today we got into shooting, and it was so much easier when you make a good horse first and then shoot later.
Absolutely. And that probably, I think your answer to that question probably feeds into my next question.
Yeah,
that is, what is it that you do for work, and how does it work either with and or against mounted shooting?
Yeah, so first and foremost, and I think this is one of your questions later on too, I actually went to college on a rodeo scholarship. And I was going to be a rodeo bum, man. I was going to go ride bucking horses. That was going to be my career. And, I could still be doing it, but my body just didn't hold up like it should have to the punishment of riding bucking horses. Yeah. But while I was in college, riding bucking horses, or the college I was at, thinking, hey, I'm not going to go to school anywhere else, had an equine training and science program. Oh, nice. And I'm like, you know what, let's just do that. And I've been riding since I was 12, 13 years old. I mean, I remember I would ride down the road, the county road where we grew up, and ride over to the neighbors, help them gather cows. I'd do whatever. So much so that my first horse, I traded 40 hours of work for this mare. And I would just ride her over, go work, and ride her back home. And that was just one of those cool deals that I got that got me really started in horses. But as I went off to college, I thought, I've always loved riding horses. I love the little bit of a challenge that it could be. So I said, let me get into this program. And the cool thing, and that school was in Rangeley, Colorado. And it was Colorado Northwestern Community College. And at the time, the program was kind of just starting out. And I know we're kind of going a long way around here. But what happened was I was the only one in the training class that year.
Oh, wow.
So instead of being like 10, 15 students with one instructor, this was a one-on-one instructor time. Nice. So we had 2 colts that we were working, and we had so much fun. Starting in the round pen, we had the rodeo arena that we'd go ride in. We roped the dummy. We did everything with these horses. And we were backed up to some BLM land. We would go trail ride. So that led into, as I transferred colleges to the university, I still had that in the back of my mind that, hey, I want to pursue this training as a career. So at the university, I didn't quite have the time I wanted to do it, and that was in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and it just didn't work out. So whenever in 2018, when we moved back here to Colorado, I told myself, I said, I'm not getting a job. I'm not going to go punch a time clock anymore. I'm going to start getting colts to ride. And man, it was kind of leads into the next thing. God just blessed us in so many ways. From the point of having enough income to support my wife and I at the time, because we didn't have any kids, but going so much to that started that career where I had 2 or 3 horses that I was riding, but it was enough at the time. We found a way to make it work. Yeah. So then 2020 comes along, and of course we all know 2020 was a weird year, but within 2020 I started shooting in 2020, and I got my horse Blue I got a fellow coach shooter here in Colorado, and just took off from there. And that led to different things, and what really happened is in that time period, the equine industry really exploded. And in shooting even, they were looking for people to start colts. They were looking for people to help them pursue their goals in shooting and just horsemanship in general. So I can tell you from the time in 2020 till now, I've not had to advertise. Wow. One bit. I haven't had to make posts on Facebook saying, hey, I'm needing horses to ride or anything like that. It was just such a blessing just for God to provide those clients and those people in our life that it was just truly incredible to see the change. Where there was points over the last 5 years that I had 10 plus horses in. And it was just like, looking back, I'm like, how did this happen? I went from riding 2 and 2 not so nice ones. Yeah. They were the ones that nobody else wanted at the time, to having, pens and a barn full of just really nice horses. So, and what happened, life has had some changes here in the present future, here in a few months ago, where God kind of changed our direction a little bit. And I say that, and since this is live, I'll go ahead and just say it here too, is first and foremost, I'm not done riding horses for people. That's always going to be, it's always going to be part of who we are. But we are downsizing just a little bit, because what happened a few months ago is I took a position as lead pastor at a church in Rye, Colorado. And, it's just our way of being a part of something much bigger than horses, of a clinic, of our life here on earth even. And so it was one of those things that God opened all the right doors, and he shut the wrong ones, and we thought, God, this is where you have us. And from the get-go, horses will always be a part of our life, and I never want to give that up, because part of it is they're God's creation, and we're called to be good stewards of God's creation, and a way we can do that is by training the horses. We can take care of horses, and that's just fulfilling part of what God has called us to do. So
I love that. And I've also heard some talk about you training pickup horses.
Well, so in college, I picked up broncs a little bit. So, it's kind of one of those necessity deals. And even when I was riding bucking horses, I was always fascinated by the pickup horses. Because, man, you got these horses that are big, stout horses, but fast.
Yeah.
And of course, being saved by a few of them sure helps to be a little more respectful of them.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was always us watching those horses. And I'll never forget, I was 16, 17 years old, and a friend of mine, Paul Schultz, put me on one of his pickup horses, and he just needed somebody to help him. And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew you had to catch a guy and pop a flank. And I get on this horse, and his name was Arky, is what his name was. Excuse me, he was from Arkansas. And so I get on him, and they buck this horse, and I'd have been a couple horses, but I just remember I rode up, was pushing this bucking horse. He gets the guy off. I ride past him. I pop a flank. And he's like, "That was so cool. Have you done this before?" I said, "No, never." But it was just that idea of, I'd studied it to a point.
Yep.
And I just thought how cool it was. So for a while, and this was kind of pre-COVID too, I had a string of 5 pickup horses. And at any given moment, I could go pick up broncs somewhere if I wanted. But just things changed, and the shooting opportunities opened up. So yeah, my blue horse, actually, he's kind of the jack of all trades. I can go head steers on him, I can pick up broncs, I can shoot on him. He's just that 1 in a million type of horse. So
I'm always really impressed by
sorry about that.
the horsemanship on when I watch the pickup horses at the rodeo. I'm always really impressed with the horsemanship there. What similarities do you see between the needs of a pickup horse and a mounted shooting horse?
Well, one, that just exposure to a lot of stuff. A good shooting horse is going to be exposed to a bunch. And even a good shooting horse or a good horse that somebody wants to make into a shooting horse, what happens is the best shooting horses are the ones that have been exposed. Head horses, a lot of times, make a good shooting horse even.
Yeah.
But, the lateral movement is a huge thing. We talked about that the other day in one of our sessions in the clinic.
And I can also see how exposure, rodeo is loud, it's busy, there's so much happening at rodeo, and very much the same as shoots, right?
Exactly. And, the few times I've been able to be in a showcase at a major, my blue horse, he's never batted an eye at it. He feeds off of that energy in the crowd. He just wants to go faster.
Yeah. So what about the one shoot that you don't miss each year? Now, I know you're very busy, so that might be changing with your new career moves, but...
Yeah, there's the Pueblo shoot, of course. I always try to make for that one.
The state, right?
It's sometimes been state, sometimes regionals, but it's a close to home shoot, and some people get to come watch, and that's always fun.
Yeah.
We're going to try to make Worlds a little more of a priority, just because it is one of the closest majors for us. But one of my probably favorite shoots, and maybe it's the place as much as it is the shoot, is going to Lazy in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Man, I had so much fun. We were just talking about that on the way here. One of my best shoots was in Guthrie, where, man, I had 4 horses, and I shot clean on all 4 horses, and I was on cloud 9, and I was like 5th overall, and all this good stuff, and that was just a fun shoot to go to.
Yeah, I just went to the Lazy Eve for the cinch timed events, and that facility is
it's ginormous.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool.
How about the favorite pattern that you have, or maybe it's a type of pattern that you have?
That's a tough one. You know, I like a challenge of any kind. Now, one I can say I don't love. Can we go that way? That
Yeah,
might be
sure.
better.
Let's go there.
I can't say I love the candy cane. I don't know why. I know some people like that's their pattern. They love it, but for me, it's just a different kind of pattern. It's not quite my cup of tea. But you know, depends what you want to work on. You know, if you want to work on your horse, the fast, flowy patterns are always great for speed and control. But the challenge of anything with a random barrel or anything you have to come back for, you know, it just shows really how well you and your horse work together.
And what kind of tips do you have for running those patterns with a lot of random barrels?
Just ride your horse. You know, it's a hard thing because you think, well, just coming back to a barrel is easy. But when you think of that barrel as facing the timeline, that starts to have all sorts of challenges in itself because we show our horses, hey, turn this barrel and run as fast as you can home. And I think the tip I guess I would give is that, you know, practice maybe walking the rundown at home. So then not every time you turn a barrel, they think go as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So even when, you know, any kind of barrel, you know, just take that time, turn your horse and say, hey, let's just walk. So they don't think they have to get to that barrel because they're going to turn and run home as fast as they can.
I've been a victim of the rundown.
Yeah, and it happens, you know, and you learn real fast how much your horse pays attention to you or not.
Yeah, it's not fun when that happens. Something I learned from Matt today, which I think I'm going to be really paying attention to in the future as well, is looking where I'm going. And with the barrels, when you've got lots of random barrels, I think that's really important because it's, like you said, that there's a tendency for them to want to run home. So if I'm looking where I'm going, hopefully my horse is going to go there. And I've actually experienced my horse taking me exactly where I'm looking today, which has been a really satisfying
and another thing with that too, Chrissy, is that, you know, and you did this, we've seen it with your horse, is that, you know, really paying close attention where your gun arm is and focusing on that next shot. Because what we've seen today is that we just watched these horses where they were drawn to that shot where maybe they didn't want to fade away.
Yeah.
They were drawn to where you were wanting to go.
Yeah, and I've also realized I've been looking at looking down at the barrel or looking down rather than forward, and I think that's one of the big problems that I've had.
Yeah, it's sure easy to do.
Pretty easy fix, but...
Yeah, you know, you would think it would be though. But it's the same as looking down when you change guns.
Yeah.
That is such a tough habit to break because you just think sometimes you even just glance down as you're holstering and you're not even looking, but because it's become so much of a habit, it's just so hard to break.
Yeah. You must have had a lot of wins in the time that you've been shooting. What's your favorite win and why?
You know, I would probably have to say, and there's different reasons, some personal reasons with this too, but my showcase win at Queen Creek a few years back. You know, it was one of the first times I qualified for a showcase, and I went out and I just ran my run. You know, I had some stuff personally going on in my life that I was just really looking for a way out of it too. Like, how can I just not think about that for a minute? And I went through. I was a nervous wreck. Dee talked to me afterwards. She says, it kind of took you a while to take off. I said, yeah, I was probably a little nervous, but I could feel Blue kind of tensing up too, like bowing up and like, man, he's ready to roll. So I was, you know, I did take that little second extra time to kind of get him right and get myself right. And, you know, that's just one win I'll probably remember for quite a while. So.
What's a little known fact about you? Everyone in the shooting community knows you as a colt starter, horse trainer, pickup horse trainer, but what's something that we might not know about you?
I don't know, that's kind of hard. I'm a pretty open book. I will talk to anybody and everybody, and I love telling people or just talking to people. But man, let's come back to that one. I'll think about that one.
How about some advice for a newer shooter?
You know, I'm not saying this just to be selfish, but finding a clinic like this, you know, and that's yeah, it's great to have all sorts of people here and max out the facility. But the main thing is finding a place where they care about you and your horse.
Yep.
And they want to see you succeed. You know, something we've talked a lot about this weekend is the idea of we don't want to just make fast horses. We want to make horses that are going to last, where you can ride that same horse for 4 or 5 or 6 years. One of my goals, just because I guess I'm just is trying to be fun, is to ride my blue horse to level 6. And just to say, hey, I took one horse from a level 1 to a level 6. And, you know, he's 19 now. Am I going to make that? I don't know. But I'm sure going to try.
Yeah.
But finding a place that really wants you to succeed. You know, there's clinics all over this country, and there's a lot of people that really want to help you. So find a place where they want to help you and help your horse. And the mounted shooting world is so cool like that, because they want to see the sport grow. They want to help you, they want to help your horse. So it's easy to find that, and just jump in. People are willing to help. They'll answer any questions, and they just want to help you succeed.
And I think for me, I can second that, definitely. I think that's a great piece of advice. And for me, something else that I get out of the learning is not just the learning, but I'm also re-motivated and re-inspired and re-engaged in the sport, because you can start to sort of fade out a little bit. It can, especially if you've not been doing well for a while, you've had a few shoots where things haven't gone well, or a few months of shoots where things haven't gone well. So to come to a clinic and to learn again, and to actually identify the places where you're doing well, and have experts like yourself tell you, hey, that was really good, that looked really good, you're doing better. I'm just feeling a lot more inspired and ready to get to another shoot again.
Yeah, you know, this is definitely one of the most humbling sports you can ever do, because, you know, 1 minute you can make a killer run and think you're on top of the world, but then the next run you miss a balloon or you hit a barrel, and it can be devastating. And so it's definitely one of those things that, you know, it's easy to drop off. You know, I haven't been shooting as much as I have in the past, and really it's more a time thing right now than anything. But man, even that, you know, I'm excited to go to the shoot this next weekend in Castle Rock. And it's going to be fun, because now I get to take this 4-year-old to the shoot that I'd kind of been waiting for this moment to start hauling him, because how good of an experience this was for him. And now I can take him to that shoot and just have that same excitement.
I think that's another thing that I've just thought about with the 3-day experience, is the camaraderie that we're building over the 3 days. I feel like, you know, the shooting community is such an amazing community, and I have so many new friends from the community. But these 3 days, I feel like I've bonded with different people and made new friends, and that's something that I'm also going to take forward to other shoots as well. Is there's more faces now that I can look to and say, hey.
Yeah, and what it is, you're making a family.
Yes.
And that's the cool part about this. And, you know, we had one guy here that has never even knew what mounted shooting was. And seen our flyer and said, hey, I want to try that because it's different. And today it was so cool. He got to shoot on his horse for the first time. And I mean, he was 68. He's 68 years old. And he was so excited just to try something different. And he got to shoot on his horse, and the best part was everybody was cheering him on. Nobody was telling him, hey, you're taking too long. Hey, your horse isn't ready for this, because we prepared his horse for that moment. So it's cool stuff. It really is. It
really is. What's one thing that you're looking forward to this year?
You know, we're kind of in that stage of life that we're kind of taking things day by day. You know, I definitely do want to shoot some more this year, and I'm going to. It's just timing and everything else to work out. But, you know, as far as one particular thing this year, we're just taking it day by day right now. Because there's so much new stuff going on with the new kind of career change and different things that we're just going to do what we can and have fun.
Lots of exciting things on the horizon.
Lots of exciting things. And, you know, this is just a small way that we can give back to the mounted shooting community as well.
Well, we really appreciate it.
And like I said, we tend to do this every year for as long as we can, and we're just going to get bigger and better every year.
You have to come next year. If you're not here right now, you have to come. This is a game changer. Well, thank you so much,
yes,
Jesse.
Thank you, Chrissy.
It's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, no, it's great. And thank you, everybody, for logging on and hanging out with us tonight.